As a primary matter, introduction, good afternoon. In accordance to requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is conveyed by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town website identifying how the public may join. The meeting is being conducted remotely and is being recorded so that it can be found on Lunenburg Access Channel or on YouTube within 48 hours. Some attendees may be participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. The town of Lunenburg, in response to COVID-19, is currently following the guidance of the Lunenburg Board of Health of Massachusetts, Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus steps communities can take to prevent the spread of all town facilities and currently closed to the public. In accordance to the governor's orders, suspended certain provisions of the open meeting law. All public meetings are being conducted remotely, in order of which it can be posted in the town website on the COVID-19 Information Center page. Access through the town manager's webpage allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring the public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comments. So before we start that, Barbara, do I have control or do you have control?
You have control. You want to do a roll call of the members?
Yeah, I just saw someone pop on those for 1 second. Let me see if I can get John in. John, you have to unmute yourself. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very well. You on your phone or are you?
No, I have use of a computer for a little while.
There he is.
Okay.
Hey, John.
Good evening, John. We just
Yeah.
did the introduction. I'd like to do a roll call to confirm that all the participants are on board. We're going to start with Michael Devakis. Mike?
Here.
John Reynolds?
Here.
Brett Ramson?
Here.
Carl Luck?
Here.
Jack Rodigans?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
And Jane, I see she's on. Hi, Jane. How you doing? Okay, before we get into the meeting, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. First announcement is an apology. I want to apologize as the chairman of the Sewer Commission to all our customers who have been sent some delinquent notices that were sent out and some accounts that have been submitted to their payments. Bob, why don't you explain what happened?
Yeah, we just had a little system issue that payments had been received one day, but the file was not uploaded to our system. So we had a bunch of delinquent notices sent out that on accounts that weren't delinquent. So actually the collector's office has since sent an email because they were Unipay payments, and so they have to have an email. So they have been contacted via email of the issue.
So again, my sincere apology to all the customers at home. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, please give me a call through Barb. And again, we'll move on, but Bob, we're going to monitor that so that doesn't happen again. Hey, Bob, go ahead with the next announcements.
Along with that, so we had some others that the payments, even though they thought they had paid, were bounced back because the remittance address had changed and they were not aware. When people set up automatic payments, they set it up and it used to be going to Fitchburg's lockbox. Now it goes to Boston. So I just want to remind everybody, please be sure that your automatic payment is being sent to the Boston address now. It's been a busy delinquent time. Do you want me to go on with my other announcements?
Yes, Bob.
Okay.
If you move your screen down a little bit too.
Well, I'm trying to read and
There you go. Okay.
what's that? The change to the irrigation meter policy and implementation date, that the irrigation meters must be upgraded to be able to be read remotely by 9/1 in order to continue to remain in the credit program. And the annual irrigation meter program fees were due June 4th to receive irrigation credit on August invoices. Letters have been sent out to those fees not yet received, advising them if the fees aren't received by August 4th, no irrigation credit will be given on the August invoice. And lastly, Jane is a new grandmother as of Friday, July 10th. So congratulations to Jane and her family.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Jane.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
wonderful.
I'm sorry, was that a boy or a girl?
Little girl.
Little girl. She can work for the sewer department too in the future if she likes.
Right.
We'll start training her now. Okay, next item would be public comment. Do we have any public comment from the public? Seeing none. Do we have any public comment from the board? Mike?
No.
Brett?
Well, I have more of a public question.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, do we plan on having in-person meetings at some point this year, or are we just going to stick to this to be safe until further notice?
We can only do this, and that's a good question, by the way, because I want to meet everybody myself. But right now, we're still following the laws set down by the town manager and COVID-19 directions from the Board of Health. That's the way I see it right now. I don't think this is going to change until we're into phase 4. So, but it would be nice to set up some kind of a meeting. We can discuss that as we go along. Maybe we do something outside, but there are some people who don't want to go out, and I understand that. So right now, we'll do it this way until we get the clearance. But,
Okay, fair enough.
but you can come over anytime for a drink. So we're here. Mr. Luck
Nope.
and John, any questions?
No.
Okay, I just see Dave Passios. Mr. Passios, do you have any public comment while we're going? No? There we go. Mr. Passios? Okay, we'll move on. Current business is the RFP status, station operations and maintenance. Go ahead, Barb.
We just received, you probably may not have even got it yet, but we just received Heather's input back. I think I had explained that sections 9 and 10, and she actually adjusted something in 11, needed to be changed because as an RFP, we did not have to go through that whole evaluation grid. So the verbiage was all removed from the RFP. So just a clean copy so it's easier reading has been sent to everyone just within the last 10 minutes.
Okay, so this has been looked at by town council, by Heather, by Jack, and by Barb. We have 2 RFPs out there. One originally was the one that we had, that we started off with, that we got back from the lawyers. And one was with modifications that Mr. Luck put on. After review of the letters from the lawyer, and I would like the recommendation of Jack and Bob on which one you want to go with. It's your RFP as well, and I would call the first one RFP A and the second one RFP B. So let's talk about RFP A.
Wait. RFPA is the one that Barbara just sent out?
No,
Yeah.
RFP, yes. Yes, that's correct. That was reviewed by council, everybody.
Right, before Carl and council changes. That was the one that went out to everybody on the 23rd.
And as we said at the last meetings, I like what we did for our product. I take the recommendations of Adam and Jack and Barb and Heather seriously. So I think, Jack, are you recommending the RFPA?
Well, first, Dave, I just want to say that I understand all the work that's been put into this by this board and other members and Barb and, to produce a really good product. And with the complete understanding that I have no vote, I'm flattered to even have a recommendation, but my recommendation for what it's worth would be what we're calling RFPA.
Okay. Barb?
Yeah, I agree. There were things noted in B that were removed and then put back in, but they had been removed because in discussions with Jack and council, I believe we thought there was more of an internal process. So we were happy with A.
Okay. So now let's take a look at, I can either do a motion or talk about RFPB. But let's start with Mike. Mike, what's your feeling on this? Which way would you go?
I like the RFPA.
as well. I think it was a little easier to understand, and everything's pretty much right there in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Brett?
I scanned over it and, really nothing changed other than some of the talk to make the lawyer happy. I'd be ready to move forward with the RFP the way it is,
Carl?
with the changes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
was that
Brett.
me?
Yep, go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I'm not sure we understand the documents that we're talking about. Certainly understand the one that was just sent out. I understand it, but we just got it 10 minutes ago, so I haven't fully reviewed it. I reviewed it enough to come to the conclusion that perhaps Heather's review really focused on the type of bid and the evaluation, because it doesn't incorporate any of the things that that legal had changed. So I want to make sure the terminology here, when you say, I know what RFPA is, it's what just came out, which hard to understand how anybody reviewed that. It just came out 10 minutes ago. But that aside, the bulk of the scope of services is exactly, appears to be, again, I didn't go, in 10 minutes, I couldn't go through it all, but it appears to be the version that we went into the last meeting with, that I had a bunch of questions, concerns, and was authorized to go, discuss with council, which I did. As a result of that discussion, council identified a number of things, A, that were just plain missing, B, that were not in our best interest, and sent out a very slightly modified document that is in the package. And so I hope we're talking about which one do you like? We're talking about the one that council sent out versus the one that Heather just sent out. Is that the two we're comparing?
The one that Adam sent out is the one that Heather just changed.
No, it's not.
But go ahead, Barb.
There's two. I mean, the RFPA was with Adam's input with Jack and I, and we had presented that June 23rd. And then Carl and council worked again, and that is RFP-B. But for this, just for the sake of ease, I only updated RFP-A with Heather's changes because I didn't have time to make changes to all of them. So A is a combination of past council input, Jack and Barb and Heather. Our RFP-B right now only has the changes from the June 23rd version with Carl and council's input.
So Mr. Chairman, if I could, I appreciate Barb's clarifying what we're looking at. So what we're looking at and calling RFP-A is the base June 23rd document plus Heather's inputs, which are specifically related to the bid evaluation and 9, 10, 11 paragraphs. Correct, Barb?
Yes.
Right. So that's not exactly. We're making that that's Heather's proposed document. It's Heather's proposed changes to the type of proposal and evaluation, but it's silent on whether Heather agrees with the last council input or not. So, and to Barb's point, if Barb had more time, she would have sent out an A and a B, I'm pretty sure, that both had Heather's changes, one with council's changes and one without council's changes. The council's changes, as a result of my questions and our discussion, are very important. There are parts that read it, and his disclaimer was that, look, a lot of this changes weren't necessarily mine, so there are parts that he really didn't scrutinize in detail. So the document that he sent out that Barb included in the package that really addresses the scope of services, not the contractual issues or the bid issues or the things that Heather is commenting on.
The one thing
areas that council changed were what he felt were important to further clarify, eliminate confusion, and to make it clearer what some of the requirements are.
Barb, do you have a copy of the, or could you quote the lawyer in front of you? It wasn't, it's our choice, I think is what he said, basically.
Yeah, I was just looking for that with Adam's input.
I
Hold
think
on.
that might be in your package. So
Oh.
Carl, I appreciate your talking. I still don't understand why you called the attorney though, because that wasn't part of the response. You were available for if they had any questions. And I don't know why you would talk to the attorney about it, because you weren't sanctioned by this board to talk to the attorney. You were
Well, but I was,
sanctioned
Mr. Chairman. If
You
you
weren't.
look at the tape, I was specifically asked if I was authorized. But what's important, what's really important, is that we get this this document right. And there are areas, and I would like to go through. I would like to get
Mr. Luck,
council's input
Mr.
for
Luck,
about 5
Mr. Luck.
minutes.
Mr. Luck, we're going to vote on the first one. Barbara, can you find that letter from Adam?
I am trying to, I apologize. Well, you know, it's probably in there.
While you're doing that, I'm going to go to Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, your thoughts?
Well, I guess I'm just a little bit confused at this point as to, are all council's concerns going to be incorporated in the one we're going to be voting on?
They're all incorporated.
That's not correct, Mr. Chairman. They are not all incorporated.
They're all incorporated with the letter that we got from Adam. If, Barbara, do you have that?
The letter that you're saying you got from Adam since he and Carl met?
Mhm.
Okay.
No. There's another one before that.
The comment, as Adam states, his quote was, "These changes are not significant, I don't believe, and much of the red line text on pages 3 and 4 is a mere relocation of information from one section to another." So that was from Adam when he returned the RFP.
Now, that RFP came back, was reviewed by Barb and Jack, and then finally went over to Heather. So Heather being the procurement officer, I respect that. And Jack and Barb are working the system. I respect that. I think it's a good product. I don't want to keep wording it up, and I want to get it out there for a bid. So we could sit here for a month and talk about it. And my intention tonight is to get everything on the table. Carl has his view, we have our view. And let's vote on it. That's my opinion, but I'm so open I like to have a motion anyways. If anyone want to make a motion to accept the RFP as written.
I'll make a motion to accept the RFP as written.
Okay, then I'm looking for a second for discussion. Anybody want to second that?
I would second that motion.
Okay, so now we have discussion. Now we can talk about it, guys. So let's start again with Mike. Mike, after we just learned all that, what's your questions or concerns?
Kind of a little bit confused on this one now. I like the one that we had no change. And again, I'm kind of reviewing the one we just recently got.
Yep.
And again, it just seems like things have kind of moved around. It's the same information, but just moved around in different pockets, it seems like.
So why don't we take 5 minutes and just look at the ones and take a look at them now so you all get yourself updated on it, or a couple minutes and see what you think. But keep in mind that those changes came from the town manager, who was the procurement officer in the town of Lunenburg, which I would consider very important. So, but take a look at it and see if you have any questions.
What is our deadline to get this,
We've already passed it. We'd like to get it out.
the
Yeah.
bids? Yeah.
Well, we got to go through the cycle and
Mr.
get it
Chairman,
out.
which document are we looking at?
The one that you just received from Barbara with Heather's changes on it.
Right.
But those are not track changes. So I don't know how to tell
Well, we
what the
haven't
changes
seen
are.
it, so let's look at it. I'm just reading the email now, Carl.
I can send them out tracked if you want.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suggest a slightly different procedure that I think would be quicker.
Go ahead.
Because my understanding at a glance, and I think Barb just confirmed, that this is not Heather's document. This is a document that Barb created with Heather's changes to the procurement process incorporated in the base June 23rd document. So there are no changes to the scope of services.
Yep, that's
I
correct.
would suggest that because we'll end up going there anyway. I suggest we walk through the changes, the most recent changes from legal. And if we agree with those changes, Barb can incorporate them in RFPA. If we don't, then RFPA stays the same way as it does. And there are very few of them. There's only
Let me
5 or 6 of them. And
Let me review something here, guys. What you got and what I'm just reading is, as a procurement officer, Heather wants to make some changes to that area. Really has nothing to do with the RFP. So she's looking for more like for experience and stuff like that. Is that correct, Bob, what I'm reading?
Yes, it was pertaining to the evaluation grid being removed, making it minimum criteria as opposed to evaluation criteria. The change, and that was basically what she did. 9, 10, and 11.
Okay, someone's squealing there. So basically what Heather's doing is changing some of the scope on the procurement part of it, which is not us. If you're looking at the RFP, what we talked about, that hasn't changed, if I'm not mistaken, Barb, is that correct?
From June 23rd, that was RFP 1 has June 23rd's RFP before Carl and council's input and it has now Heather's input. And then RFP 2 was the changes after Carl and council had spoken.
Now, in summary, Kyle, those changes you put in were going back to the maintenance plan. Is that correct? In a summary, not a long story, in a summary.
no, I think we need to walk through those changes. Council,
I'm not going to walk through the changes, Kyle. I'm sorry. That's my opinion.
well, that's your opinion as the chair, but I think the members and our
Okay,
customers
again.
have the right. I mean, council made some very viable changes here that we would be hurt without. For instance, we don't reference Exhibit A. We say see Exhibit A. Council was very clear that does not incorporate Exhibit A to say see Exhibit A. It's important that it's a part
We're going through the
Exhibit
board
A.
now.
So
Kyle,
there are
we're
very
go-
important
Kyle,
issues that the
excuse me.
council has brought up. I don't understand, Mr. Chairman, I don't understand why you are not willing to walk through council's changes, which will take about less time than arguing over.
That's right. I'm not going to argue with you. Let's go back. Mike, any concerns on RFPA or B?
No, I like the RFP 1 or A.
Okay, and you read them both. Brett,
Yes.
I'm happy with A.
John? If you have any concerns, here's the time for you to ask.
Right. Well, I guess on page 4 of the document that has council's changes, under daily routine of inspection of all preventative, predictive, corrective maintenance and routine repairs, I mean, he's added something back in that he suggests may have been omitted. So I guess the question would be, is that in the item is implement a maintenance plan, including the updating of all documents as required below and the identification and coordination of line jetting. How important is that to the sewer commission?
I think what
I mean, that's the one of the ones I'm seeing here that
Mr. Chairman, if I could, from
Is it
discussions with Lloyd.
let John finish, please. Go ahead, John.
well, quickly going through, that's the one where Adam's saying it might have been accidentally omitted. So you have to decide if it was accidentally omitted and do we want it back in, that's all.
The question would be, there's a maintenance plan that Kyle's been working on that's kind of mixed into this RFP. I don't want it mixed into this RFP. I don't want to refer to the maintenance plan in this RFP. It has nothing to do with the RFP. The RFP that we designed is what we're hiring a company for. As we go forward as a company, we will incorporate the maintenance program, but not in this contract.
Okay, that's a good point, Dave, good point.
So you can talk about maintenance all you want. It has nothing to do. That's why I want to keep RFP A, because it's cleaner. It gives a much more detailed operation. And we're not building a rocket ship for SpaceX here, guys. You know, we're working with pumps, and we want to take care of everything and incorporate it together. But by mixing them together, I think we're doing a disservice to our customers and to our employees, my opinion.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Luck.
Well, to that point first, if we don't incorporate the maintenance plan, there are things that are not defined at all here. The maintenance plan, for instance, there's nothing in this contract or this scope of services that talks about the regular maintenance, such as pumping out the dry wells and maintaining those systems. That's not included in this contract at all. If you don't mention the maintenance plan, neither is updating the maintenance documents. And if this contractor doesn't update our maintenance documents when they do repairs and maintenance, then to the DPW director to do that documentation. So the pulling in the maintenance plan is important. So going back to the beginning, in the very first comment of legal, the document that you choose has an incomplete sentence. 1G is not an incomplete sentence, but as long as one pump is available and operating, period. That's not a complete sentence. The rest of it got dropped in one of the revisions, which is repairs of the second pump can be scheduled on a next regular working day based on the contractor's best judgment. That was in the document that we created and sent to legal. Somehow, in all of the various reviews, the rest of that sentence got dropped. I don't understand why we want to have a document that has an incomplete sentence. And this is an important point. As the contractor, you don't have to stay and spend overtime hours to keep two pumps running if in your assessment, the repair can wait till the morning. The second point the contractor made in paragraph 2, where he added the word routine, he felt was to help clarify the repairs so we don't get into the discussion we had before. Further in that same paragraph, the document that you're in favor of simply says, see Exhibit A. Legal's opinion is that see Exhibit A does not require them to follow Exhibit A. Only if the words per Exhibit A is Exhibit A actually incorporated into the requirements. So that's the other comment there. The next one down is the maintenance I already talked about that I think we need. The down in 3D, that's the same comment as above. Just making sure that the operator has to comply with the documentation requirements of our maintenance plan and the periodic requirements of our maintenance plan, which are not identified in this document. Again, if you don't pull in Exhibit A by saying Ref A instead of see Exhibit A, then the checklist in Exhibit A is not part of the contract. And they can do it, you know, it's information, go see it, but they don't have to do it. So all of that big checklist, which is the entire contract, is no longer technically a part of this contract. Further, if you don't pull in Exhibit A, the paragraph 2 simply requires them to do whatever they think is required to maintain the stations sometime between Monday and Friday on 10 hours, a minimum of 10 hours per week. It only if you pull an exhibit the proper way by saying per Exhibit A, do you tell them you want them there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. With this paragraph, as it's now stated, they could come Monday,
Well,
spend 10 hours and say,
you know what,
we
Mr.
think
Luck,
that's enough.
Mr. Luck,
So,
Mr. Luck, hold it. This is getting ridiculous. When we go for the RFP, we're going to be interviewing these people. There'll be a list of questions that we're going to ask these people, and this will be incorporated at that point. So I think, again, I personally would go with RFP A and go from there. And if the attorneys can't fix, hold on 1 second. If the attorneys can't fix some of the spelling, I'm sure Barbara's going to call them tomorrow and say, make sure you fix the spelling. So that's what spell check is for. So again,
no spelling in here, Mr. Chairman. That's
or drop in the paragraph, whatever you said. So anyways, I would recommend that we take a vote. We have a motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor Anyone have any other questions?
I think the discussion is still going. I would like to know from the
Your-
other
your
members,
discussion.
I would like to know from the other
Your
members,
discussion's going, our discussion is not. Sorry.
what in this, what
Please,
in this,
down.
what in this legal
Mr.
document is so
Mr.
objectionable to not incorporate
Look,
what the lawyer.
Don't make me mute you, okay? So what I'd like to do is we have a second on the floor to vote on RFPA. Do we have a motion? I'm looking for approval. Mike,
I'll approve it. A motion for approval.
Brett,
I will approve that, second the motion and move forward.
John?
Well, you've got a motion and a second. You want to take a vote? Or-
Yeah, we are.
This is the vote.
This is the vote. Mike
Okay,
approved, Brett approved.
Okay. then yes.
Okay, Carl?
No,
Okay, motion goes. Let's get the RFP.
Dave, you didn't vote.
Dave, yeah,
Oh,
your vote.
yes for the chair, I'm sorry. Losing my voice here. Okay, when the RFP is completed though, please send a copy out to the board. And I don't know when it's going, and we need to know a schedule when it's going to go, so if you can send that out.
I need to update.
At least get the calendar up to date to where we are.
Right.
In case we have to do one more shot at it. Okay. Any questions on that meter, irrigation meters?
Sorry, let me go down. Dum, 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 dum. The meter was sent by August.
Barb, is that you making the noise?
Nope.
Can you sit back from the speaker just a little bit?
Somebody have a radio?
Am I doing the dot matrix thing again, Mike?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you are.
Sorry. Is that
That's
better?
okay.
You sound
That's a
like
lot better.
you sound like RoboCop.
Mike is on this. Okay, sorry. Reminder letters were sent out and they will not get a credit in August. The other thing was an irrigation meter policy change that I sent out. There are several things, one of them being the name of the policy. In all these discussions on irrigation meters, it was determined that I'm confusing people by calling it irrigation system or irrigation meter. Some people don't have an irrigation system and so think that we're not talking to them, even though they have an outside spigot that is separately metered. So my latest proposal just changes it to a deduct meter, which is what a more common plumbing term for what we are trying to accomplish.
Does anyone have any questions on that for Barb, by the way? I know there's metering thing to the new members especially. Don't be afraid to ask any questions here at this point.
So that's basically what it is. It's like the pool filling thing, right? So if there's a rebate or there's a deduction for if they have an irrigation system or if they're watering their lawns or things like that.
That's a separate, if they do it on their irrigation, if they have a meter installed, that works fine. But if for people that don't have an irrigation or deduct meter and they fill their pools or water new lawns, there is a whole separate process that's a request for a waiver kind of thing. So they're different. If people don't have a deduct meter, that's the avenue to go. This is for people that have a separate meter on their outdoor spigot just for watering, landscaping, irrigation systems, general outdoor use that does not go down the sewer pipes.
Right. Thank you.
Yep.
And I think this is going to be on our agendas for a while, especially during the summertime. So again, thank you for your explanation. Leominster IMA billing changeover to.
Hold on, Dave. I
Yeah.
did make substantial changes to the irrigation meter policy, and I just wanted to know if they were okay with everyone.
You know what? I didn't see that, Bob. Did you send it out this week?
I did. We can
Did anybody
do
see
it at the
that?
next meeting.
Don't hold it on me. Did anybody see that? Mike, did you see it?
I remember seeing it and I'm trying to look for it right now, but I do remember reading what Barb sent out and I'm just trying to look at it right now to look through it real quickly.
Okay, Brett, did you remember seeing it?
The irrigation,
Yes.
I did look it over quickly, but I didn't examine the changes thoroughly.
You know what, in all fairness, Barb, why don't we put it on for the next agenda and maybe send it out with a bold thing so we can pick up on it? I missed it.
Okay,
Oh, I got it. I mean, I looked at it, but I didn't,
I know I didn't review it yet. I mean, does anybody have any questions? John, did you read it?
I don't have any questions.
I read it and it seemed pretty straightforward, but I think everyone should read it before we vote on it.
I mean, I trust you guys. Carl, you still there?
Yep.
Did you read it?
I did.
And do you have any questions on it?
Nope.
Okay. So why don't we wait that for the next meeting, because I didn't see it either.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Leominster IMA, we had a meeting with Roger from Leominster, and I have to say, I'm very excited about the meeting. In attendance was Jack, Bob for a few minutes. It was more of a, hey, can you help us out type of meeting. It ended up to be a very, very productive meeting. Now, Mr. Rogers, or I should say Mr. Roger is leaving. He's going into retirement, so he works one day a week for Leominster. But we went over a lot of interesting things, and I just want to give you a real quick summary of what it was. I should have wrote it up and sent it to you. But basically what it was, told him about our problem with our bills. We showed him the flows. This guy is a very intelligent guy, and he's a businessman all the way. And what he said was he's going to look at the numbers with Barb, and we're going to see what we can do to help that part of it. But he also wants to help us out and us help him out. We know that a lot of the I&I is coming in the Wayland district, and Jack, if I'm wrong on what he was saying, please correct me. But what he wants to do is apply for a grant in coordination with Leominster and Lunenburg. And if he can get the grant, he wants to sleeve all the pipes up in the Wayland district. That's been a big problem for him as well. It's not just Lunenburg, but it's also his. So I thought that was very productive. So we're looking to do that, and the grant's got to be written by August 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. The other thing he brought up was, which was very interesting, and we have to go back. I know we hired a company here to look at I&I that we're paying them to look at all our records. And he just said, you know, if you want to know where your I&I is, go back from day one and look when you see your flows and look and see where it starts to get out of whack. That will pinpoint the area of what you got to do. Am I correct, Jack? Am I close to what I'm saying? Oops, Jack, hold on.
Yeah, no, well, just a step back. It's always good to see Roger. I've known him since 1980. He's a wealth of information, and he's never dealt with us without tying us into Leominster to a mutual benefit. I don't know about pinpointing it, Dave, but the most important thing I think that came out of that meeting, well, two things. One, that the grant that you speak of, and Roger will not sit on that. He'll move forward, and that would be to, you know, do something that was intended to do by the first Board of Selectmen that were the commissioners, which was to take care of the clay pipe situation. Number two, I think, which was productive too, is I went into that meeting fairly pessimistic that he was not even going to consider stretching out our increase. And I wasn't overly optimistic, but at least I perceived it, maybe you did too, that at least it's on the table. They've got their own I&I problems, and so we're contributing to that. So for Leominster to say, well, we're paying through the roof for I&I, and here comes Lunenburg, and we're cutting them a break, one would think that right off the bat, that's a negative. But he didn't see it as such. He looked for positive ways to deal with that, and the argument that you and I made in terms of saving some of that money that we would otherwise give to Leominster to continue our I&I exploration was extremely positive coming out of that.
Thank you. And Barb, what did you get out of it? I thought you and I and Roger, the time we had was very productive.
Yeah, No, I think Roger is a wealth of information and ideas that it's very helpful to talk to. And I've sent him the annual flows that he needed. There's more on the list of things that we need to get to him help us. So I'll be getting that over to him.
So I guess the word I got out of it was it's a start, and it was a good start. When you inside of, there's nothing wrong with going to Roger and saying, hey, can you help us? I mean, I can show him facts and figures and numbers, but you know what? This guy already knew. I think Roger already knows, what he could do to help us. And I think he came into that meeting, as Jack said, very, very pessimistic about helping us as well as us helping him. And I think that Grant in Lunenburg with Association of Lemons be a big, big plus for him. So I'll keep you guys updated. The next time I have a meeting, though, I'm going to be asking you guys, one of you, to come and meet Roger. He is a gentleman, so I just got to thank him. And Jack, thank you for help setting that up on short notice. But it needed to get done. So, any other questions on that?
Oh, sounds like all good news.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I walked out happy. I was ready to go for a drink.
No questions. I just want to thank you folks for being in the meeting and doing what you can to make it productive.
You know, one thing
Thank
we're
you.
going to do, and then we're going to be talking about later, is that we have we got a new board, and what I want to do is actually go into the business with you guys and teach you the business. And one of the things that you learn is you got a copy of the what do we send them, Bob? What they call the town
Carter.
charter.
Yeah.
Now that charter, the new charter was just approved. I think Mr. Passio sent out an email, or I saw him mention that the state just approved it. So once you get that new one, I'm not mistaken, maybe Dave can chime in here since he's on the line. But as far as the charter, that's our responsibility, guys. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to talk to myself or Jack or Bob or Heather. Don't be afraid to talk to Heather. I mean, she's a human just like you and I. So, but as we get going in the business, I want you to learn the business. I want you guys are excellent at what you have. You guys are very intelligent, excuse me. And that will end in a second. But you guys are very valuable as far as business, and that's what we need, is the business mind. And let the experts do what they got to do. We're not lawyers. We're just country folk trying to do a good job for the town of Lunenburg and our customers. So the bottom line is, as we go forward, I want you guys to get involved in this. I want you guys to learn the business, because it is an exciting business. So any questions on that? Okay.
Nope.
Hold on, Mr. Passio's, I got to figure out how to do this. He has a question.
Yeah, I'm all set, Dave. I just wanted to verify that the charter has not cleared the House of Representatives, so it still is not approved in Boston. Still working on it.
Well, that's pretty slow. Did it pass some? Did you mention that it passed somewhere, or was I mistaken?
It went through the Senate in one hearing, 3 readings and 1 hearing, and was passed on to the House of Representatives the first week of June, and there's been no action since it was passed on to the House.
Okay, I appreciate that. For the new members, Mr. Passios is on the Parks Commissioner. He's been serving in the town. He's on the Finance Committee. So Mr. Passios knows a lot about the town. And it'd be nice maybe one day to sit down and talk to Dave about what he knows about the town as well. This is all part of what we want to do. And again, Bob, I think we got it in here at the bottom under communication, correct?
Yes.
Is that on the agenda? Okay. And as we get going, we'll see. But this is the first day of a new time, guys. Hold on, Mr. Luck.
Just to clarify, Barb sent out just before, not much before the meeting, the charter that's in the review at the State House. But the only change, as she noted, is it made it clear that the town manager was responsible for the supervision of the business manager. That's the only change in the charter. So that's all that we're waiting for the state to confirm is the supervision of the business manager. The rest of the charter is unchanged and unaffected by this review by the state.
I'm surprised the charter, when I asked to send it out, I thought it was like 2 pages. I was surprised it was only 2 paragraphs, I think, right?
Well, you had asked for just the sewer commission section.
Yeah. No, it's just, I thought the sewer commission would be, so I was happy to see that. Okay, next item is request for connections to multi-sites Casbo properties on Mass Ave. Barb?
I did not hear any more from John. He wasn't able to do a Zoom meeting, and I had asked for a letter I did not receive. So we'll pass over it until we get something, unless Jack has anything to share.
Well, I'm not going to speak for John, but the gist of our discussion was that the original sewer line maybe not the original, but the sewer line that went from Fitchburg up to Walmart stops just south of Mass Ave Motors, and the estate of Mr. Caswell or his relatives have a number of properties on the right side going up. And John, as the contractor, is speaking with the family and trying to find a way to connect. We have some failed septic systems there. I went into the archives and found that there are supposedly, with the as-builts, 3 of those properties that do have laterals. John's thought was to run a sewer main up the grassy strip on what would be the eastern side of Route 2A. That's as much as I'm going to get into it, because there are particulars, and I don't think it merits discussion by the commission until either the family or the contractor bring it to you as an agenda item.
Well, if you can pass along to Mr. Esposito, tell him that he's always welcome to come and see us.
He knows that. He does. He knows that.
Okay. So we're going to pass over that one. Next one is Bright Farms and Sewer Allotment. Bob, this is great news. So.
Yeah, we received our payment for the allocation that was determined with the allocation agreement finalized last fall. The property sold July 7th. Closing has occurred, and we have received our check. I did work with Brian Winter at Mead Tollerman Costa about the cost, because they had to figure out the exact amount of interest that was due. And so we've received that payment. When I talked to Karen about how we go about cutting Fitchburg a check for that $68,000, because it was not budgeted as an expense for FY21, we may have to go just put an article on the warrant for the special town meeting to be able to pay that invoice without taking out, to reducing the rest of our expenses for the rest of the year. So that will come when we hear about a special town meeting warrant being opened.
On that note, I just want to thank past boards who made the deal with, wasn't Bright Farm before, what was it called?
It was the Leveroni property.
Yeah, and so this has been going on for a few years on the commission. So with negotiations with the town of Fitchburg and so on, this is done in the right way. Took a long time, but anyone have any questions on that?
You come to an end.
Dave, just to let you know, Dave, and the commissioners, Heather had asked what sort of discussions that Barb and I had with the principals, some as far away as Pennsylvania. And we anticipate, and she didn't have a date, but there'll be a kickoff meeting, if you will, with the principals of that project. So we'll know a lot more shortly.
Okay. Mr. Luck, hands up.
Yeah, just to clarify, I got a little confused when Barb was talking about the invoice. I think you used the word invoice, and this payment, when it's settled, will come to the sewer commission and go into the enterprise fund, or how will that flow, Barb?
The invoice will come in as revenue, and it will just remain on account as revenue. It's not particularly an invoice. We have to create it in order to pay Fitchburg that $68,000. We'll put it through as an invoice, basically. And
But
at the same
that's
time,
what got my attention, Barb. We're not going to pay that to Fitchburg.
I thought we were, and that would reduce, we would ask for a reduction in interest on the debt schedule. I thought that had been,
My understanding from Fitchburg, and we certainly should pursue it. If we can pay the Fitchburg and reduce our interest, that's great. But they have a loan and they don't get to pay the loan ahead. So I think the situation is that, we've got our certain payment every year that we're going to make, and the interest is included. And this money is going to come into our capacity reserve fund, and we'll have to transfer that in at the special town meeting. But then we will simply use that to pay down every year our what we owe Fitchburg. So I guess the first step is to confirm with Fitchburg, if we chose to buy down that loan, can we do that and not have to pay interest? That
Right.
might be a very different question. If you can do that, it may be worth, depending on
I think Barb,
interest rates.
Paying ahead, Barb, are you looking into that?
yeah, I was going to contact Jeff in Fitchburg and see how it can be done. If not, we'll hold on to it in the stabilization fund, basically pay from that every year. But I thought we had written the allotment agreement to state that if Fitchburg was to give us any credit, basically, that we would pass it along, which when I talked to council, that doesn't happen. But I thought the discussion was that
that statement's in there. Yeah, the statement is there because at the time we made the agreement, the exact costs were not known by Fitchburg. So the statement in the agreement was that if the costs change from Fitchburg to us, then we would affect that, how much the Highfield owed us. It wasn't so much us paying Fitchburg as it was Fitchburg's cost, that if they varied, then the cost calculation for what Highfield owed us would vary. But yeah, ask it, if we can pay, if we can pay in advance and reduce the credit or not. That's the question at this point. And the interest.
If they don't give us any credit, you might as well just keep on paying the way we've been paying. Why change it?
Right.
Exactly.
So, okay. Any other questions on that? But again, nice job on getting it all done. I never thought we'd see the day to get paid off on that. The grease trap annual renewals. Bob?
I can't give you an update. That's still on my high priority list of to-dos, but I can't say they've been sent yet. They will be. Just to advise the public, if anyone's watching, the annual renewal of grease traps is due by August 1st. We will be getting out the permits to you, but as of the June 23rd meeting, the commission has waived the annual fee for this year due to the coronavirus. So you will be getting a letter. I still believe we want to get the permit applications back for the fiscal year,
Yes.
but that no fees will be requested at this time.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? I see none. Budget. Bob, go ahead. FY20.
It's more of an FYI on where we stand with FY20 until it is closed out. Those are the numbers we're looking at. Next on the agenda is encumbrances that we are trying to put through for bills or invoices that we expect to come in for FY20 work requested, not yet received a bill on. So right now that is where we stand with FY20.
Everybody got that? It looks like it says the town of Lunenburg incumbents. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Any questions on that by anybody?
We're going right to the encumbrances.
Hold on.
Mr.
Hold
Chairman.
on. Carl, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Bob, what'd you say?
No, I just want to make sure we're all done with the FY20 budget, or are we jumping to the encumbrances discussion?
Encumbrances right now.
Yeah, well, my question was on FY20.
All right. So any questions on the encumbrances?
Mr. Chairman?
This sheet. Okay, Carl, go ahead.
So
Yeah, it was on the FY20, just to be clear, because it's important in the encumbrances. Am I correct that the FY 20, it looks like, was it $44,000? Is that, what's our remaining funds in FY 20 on that sheet, Barb?
Well, I have our expenses over, revenues over expenses show as 104. But we,
No, but the expenses, just because again, all we get to spend is what we budgeted for expenses. So
which is 51,117.
is the 50.
But our revenues collected were greater than what was budgeted, so there is a.
No, but revenues are nice, it helps the enterprise fund, but we only are authorized at town meeting to spend the expenses part. So the 858,000 is what we were authorized to spend in expenses, yeah.
You were authorized
So
909.
what we have left, say again?
We were authorized 909,484 at the last town, at the FY 20 town meeting.
Okay, so is the 44,000 what's remaining in?
I don't know where you're
in our budget for
44. I have
expenses?
51
He's looking at balance
non-payroll. No,
payroll.
yeah, non-payroll, and then payroll is, so I have a total unspent as 51,117,27.
No, but
Now, mind you,
no. What I'm looking is way down the bottom where it says year to date, expenses were 858,366, right?
Yep.
And then over in the right column is a 44,109. What does that represent?
that
Balance
is
remaining
balance, just
non-payroll.
keep going down that column. That's balance remaining non-payroll. Balance remaining payroll is 7, and then a total of balance remaining is 51,117,27.
Carl,
Great.
go to the top. Carl, go to the top of the budget. I'll give you a balance remaining, all those numbers are the balance remaining numbers.
Yeah, no, I was just looking because for the encumbrances, that 51,117 is the key number. So I just wanted to make sure I knew what that number was.
Okay.
Carl, many of the, I need to look it up, but some of my, if I had a known expense, that has already been taken into account.
So the encumbrances are already in that
Removed,
analysis?
yes.
Okay, so that 51,000 is after encumbrances.
Right, and we have another 19,000 that we are expecting to pay out for FY 20.
That leaves
So
us with,
approximately 70,000.
that leaves us with 32,000. Right?
No, it means that 51 is reduced by the 19,742.76 in FY 20 encumbrances. So the balance remaining is greater.
So we're okay on our budget?
We're okay. I also just needed to point out that the payroll numbers, the Munis system does not get updated very timely. So you will see that my Munis figures are still in June. So both revenues and payroll have not been updated through the end of the year yet in Munis. So I'll keep sending this off to everybody at every meeting.
And guys, what we're going to do as we keep going on to the new members and to the old, we all have to know this part of the business is very important. If you look at the charter, this is our job, is to watch the budget. It's hard to watch a budget if we don't understand the budget. So we are going to be working together, all 5 of us, to work this budget so that it's easier on Bob and it's definitely easier on us so we don't sit here and look at these different lines. So that's one of our projects that we got to do. And I know John would appreciate it, but I think we lost John. Yeah, we lost John.
Not the last time.
Okay. I know, Mike, are you okay for time?
Yeah, I got probably like 10 more minutes, Dave.
Okay, let's go now to, any more questions on the budget? Okay, let's go to the minutes.
No, I need to verify, sorry, the encumbrances just need to be approved by you. That will be signed at a later date when we all get together. But the encumbrances that was sent just needs to be a vote. Yes, that form. Thank you, David. Needs to be approved for FY19. We have $775.73, and that's for the Wright, Pierce, and Woodard and Curran to finalize their jobs on those contracts.
Yep.
And then in FY20, the amount is $19,742.76. So the total encumbrances going into FY21 would be $32,518.49.
I see, Barb, I see 19,942.76.
And that was one of my more recent emails, Mike, that you got in the last day. We did hear, I had Rockies on there because I was expecting some field supplies coming from MP was asked if they needed anything to get us something. So I had that sitting there in case, but Al was in, I think yesterday, and said,
Oh.
So it was
Okay.
reduced by the $200 that was there previously.
Okay.
So I need a motion to approve the town of Lunenburg year-end encumbrances minus the $200.
No, the amount I gave you is correct, $32,518.49.
I got 32,718.
Exactly, but everybody received a new one. The amount I'm looking is $32,518.49.
Right. I saw that. I remember I saw that email, Barb, that said that you didn't have that receipt. I remember seeing that.
Okay,
So I'll motion to approve.
Second. I'm looking for a second.
I just rejoined, so I can't really second. 'Cause I
Hey,
don't
John.
know.
Hey, John, welcome back. I'm looking for a second to approve the year-end encumbrances. This form,
Yep, yes, I second that.
okay? Any discussion? All in favor? Mike?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Carl?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I for myself.
okay, thank you.
Okay, what's that, Barb?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, minutes for 6/23. I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes on 6/23.
So motion.
Second,
I second.
any discussion? All in favor?
No, I have, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Carl.
for some reason, my screen won't open it up, but I do remember down in the paragraph addressing member gender inputs for future meetings, there's a sentence at the end of the first paragraph of that section. And again, I apologize, my screen is cutting it off, but it starts with Carl inquired about, and I think it says the wrong thing. But Barb, could you read me what that sentence says? Because it cuts it off here.
Sure. I believe it's Carl reminded all that originally the plan was to sewer the town, but residents.
No, Barb, sorry. No,
Oh,
it
the
was
last-
there, the paragraph.
Okay. The
Paragraph,
last sentence is Carl inquired about the
of
meter
that
import.
paragraph where members agendas. Yes. Say again?
Carl inquired about the meter import for billing project, and Barb replied she needs to talk to the town manager.
Okay, I don't think that's what mine said. About the billing import. Okay, great. The one I had said something else, but all right, thank you.
Okay,
Okay, all set there, Carl?
Yep, thank you.
All right, so this is a vote to approve. Mike?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Carl?
Aye.
And I for myself. And if I change in the names, because this is like Monopoly, all the pictures keep changing when someone comes out. Okay,
all right.
next item would be the business manager's report.
I&I third party, we received another one today or yesterday. I'm getting my days mixed up, but I had sent one in the original package last Friday, and then we received another one this week. So that has been sent out to all. Maintenance plan. Right now it is with the town manager. It had been sent to Heather right when the coronavirus had happened. So I know Matt Corbin from Wright Pierce has been calling and hoping to get that moved on, as I'm sure you are too. So just wanted to let you know, it is with the town manager.
So Barb, excuse me, right there, I'll send an email to Heather tomorrow requesting some action on it so we can get this going.
Okay, all right.
And I know, by the way, Heather has been very, very busy that a lot of the people don't understand, but she's working with a lot of agencies right now, as well as other towns. So please give patience to our town manager, because she is under a lot of pressure, especially trying to get money back from us from the SAFE Act that COVID-19 set up. And I know she's working hard because she's been on some of the committees with the states with us at the Salvation Army. So she's doing a great job trying to recover money. Just my input. So next.
Next, I have invoices I had two from Mead Tollerman that I sent to everyone. One through June 22nd for 1519.06, and the second, which went through the end of the fiscal year, June 30, for 505.55, mostly dealing with either Highfield Village or the RFP, I think, and a little bit on 1170 Mass, but those would be the last two for FY20. We have spent a total, oops, did I put that out? We spent a total with them, with Mead Tollerman. We paid $5,000 on the transfer that was agreed with the selectman's office. The costs that we've received from their itemized invoices was $10,570.30, which will be used, I guess, for budgeting purposes for future years.
Okay.
So anyway, we don't really get to approve them necessarily. They're copied to us as a record-only invoice. That's their submittal.
Okay.
Okay. And then Woodard and Curran, I have a bill for $8,029.60. Just trying to see if they say, over the past months, they held the interim meeting with us, with the commission, to present preliminary findings, and then finalizing the draft reports for submission. So they have still $4,014.80 remaining on the contract.
Hold on 1 second. Carl, how are you working with them?
There's been almost no interaction. They're just doing their job, getting the report ready, and so I really haven't talked to them other than reading their report.
So you have no problem with that payment?
No, as long as they're on track, and which they've confirmed they're on track to provide a report by the end of this month. I forget the date right now, but we'll get the report, and then we have time to review it.
Okay. Thank you. Bob, go ahead.
Okay, Grease Trap Interceptor Program, the first Tuesday reports were due last Tuesday. I'm just missing two I'll follow up on. It's a little odd times these days, but mostly everybody is getting their logs still in.
Okay.
And the meter import project is still, it's a busy time of year with year end and the RFP and irrigation meters and everything, delinquencies that I have not yet been in touch with Heather regarding that.
Okay.
So, Mr.
Oh, go ahead.
Chairman, on that point, I know Barb is very busy, but going back to the Woodward and Curran, they can't complete the contract until we have the final data format for them. So at some point, we're gonna be holding them up, and clearly we're not gonna want to sign off on the final invoices until that report is available, and that tool is one of the driving factors in the contract. So, I know, Barb, you're busy, but to just ask, I think the mission was just to ask Heather who she would suggest we go to get some help to do that report. So it's basically the time to find out who can help us, not to actually do the work.
Bob, can you send an email to Heather requesting that and put the board on record of that?
Okay.
Or the commission, I should say.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But let's start wrapping this up and pay the bills and move on. Go ahead, Bob.
Last one is the communication. At the end of the meeting, you had mentioned sending our agendas out to department heads, and then a subsequent discussion maybe that we would send out minutes And I just verified with Heather whether we want to include approved or draft, and her recommendation was draft. So I wanted the full commission to be aware of what you were proposing and wanted to do.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is that with the COVID-19, there's a lot of things falling through the cracks through other departments. And all I want to do is get involved with the town's other departments. And it's not a olive branch, it's more of a, hey, guys, this is what we're doing. Send it to the planning board, send it to ZBA, send it to anybody who wants it, but send our agenda and our minutes. So that if they have any questions, let them feel free to give any one of us a call. But communication is good. And I just want people to know that if the planning board is looking at something, this is what we're working on today. Does anyone have any feelings about that? I want everyone to know we're here and what we're doing, because I'm very excited about what we're doing. And we got work to do, but I want the other departments to know what we're doing as well. So any comments on that would be good, but I asked Barb to send out the agenda to the department heads and to the Board of Selectmen and all of them, really. Mike, you have any questions about that?
No, I think that's a good idea, Dave. I think, if we're doing something that's, we can help other departments or other towns, I think that's great that we're sharing this information. And likewise, hopefully they do the same thing for us too.
Well, I think one board does it now, Barb, don't they?
Get the planning board agenda. And that's about the only one that's actually distributed. We received the Board of Selectmen agenda. I get the notice, but it's not sent out. But planning board is the one that does send out their agendas.
I think from here on, if you could just include, and let's make a little category communication. If you get one, we'll throw it into that during the meeting. If not, that's fine. We'll just pass over it. But a line item, like you have everyone, we'll just call it communication. And that would be also an area that if we have any questions to talk about, we can bring it up at that category as well. So we'll leave that on a rotating schedule.
Okay. And I just want to confirm with everybody, it's okay to wait and send the approved minutes out, because Heather didn't recommend sending the draft of the last meeting until it was finalized and approved by the commission.
I mean, that's okay. As we go through the table, we'll do it. Mike, go ahead.
No, I agree to that too. Make sure that everything's approved, and I agree with what Barb was saying.
Okay.
I need to step out. Is that okay, Dave?
Mike, thank you very much. Godspeed, and I'll talk to you soon. Be
All
good.
right, we'll talk to
care.
everybody soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Kyle, I'll get to you in a second. Brett?
All I can say about that is communication is key, and can't go wrong with that.
Okay. What about the minutes? Do you,
The minutes?
Yeah, you want the approved minutes to be sent?
I do approve the minutes. I was only part of about 10 minutes of the minutes, but I reviewed the rest of them, and
Okay.
I say aye.
No, when we send our package to these other boards, we'll include our agenda for this week and
Oh, I agree. You're saying.
the last approved minutes that we have.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm good with that.
cool. John?
I think it's great, but aren't the minutes in the agenda already being posted on the town's website?
Yes.
But not at the time, let's put it
Okay.
this way. It's
Not in a timely fashion, okay.
I mean, I know some boards don't have minutes for a few months, if I'm not mistaken, but this will keep everything current anyways.
Okay, I just didn't want Barbara to have to do any unnecessary redundant work.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Mr. Luck?
Yeah, I mean, who can argue against communication? However, to John's point, I think all we're doing is making more work for Barb, who already has a tough time getting done what we need to do. The agendas are on the town website immediately. As soon as we post them, they're there. Everybody, all the other boards certainly know they're there. Maybe the town folk don't. And minutes, since we've just decided that they have to be approved, as soon as they're approved, they're posted also. Any boards that don't have minutes posted, it's because they don't have approved minutes. So I don't see this adding a lot of value to communication, and I see it making work for Barb. And I also see it filling up people's mailboxes who are, quite busy doing other things. So I'm good with communication. I just don't see what this adds that isn't already available.
Hey, I didn't want to do this, but let's do a vote on, should we do this on a communication? So I'm looking for a motion to approve the communication memos to the boards.
I'll make a motion to approve communications boards, other boards.
Okay, second.
I'll second that motion. I'll second that motion.
Who made the first motion? John? Was that you? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was, I'm looking at Brett and I see you. Okay. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Like I mentioned, the redundancy, and I don't know if the agendas and the minutes are getting up in a timely fashion, and if doing this would make it more proactive, I'm for it.
I say, let's give it a few months and see if we get any responses from the other boards. We have nothing to lose. And like I say, the sewer goes hand in hand with a lot of things that are going on in town or going to be going on in town. So again, we'll try it, and that's our effort to get communication going. I know in the past, we used to have a liaison from the Board of Selectmen at our meetings. And again, it's a lot different today than it was a few years ago. So if this can help until we get on our feet and come up with different kinds of ideas and plans, I think it's a one step anyways. And as far as Barb, I know it's extra work, but you know now what group we can send it to. Is that correct?
Yes, I sent it out to everybody. We're confirming planning board, Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, FinCom, Conservation.
So I know it's a lot of work, but again, she just got to click send with that group. So I think it might be worth it, but I'd say let's give it a try for a few months. So looking for
To that point, Mr. Chair, just to give it a try, how are we going to know if it's working or not? If we do it and we don't get any feedback, how will we know if it's helping or how it might be done better?
And we'll have to get some kind of response back from either the director of the boards or the chairs from the boards. I mean, communication's communication. I mean, if someone calls and says,
we don't get any,
someone may not want it. So again, we'll find out, but at least we're starting something, and it's something in the right direction, I feel. That's all. Any other comments? So a motion to at least test drive this vehicle for a few months. So I'm looking for a roll call vote. Brett Ramson.
Aye.
John Reynolds.
Aye.
Carl Luck.
no.
And an aye for myself. Okay. Last thing would be public comments. Is there any comment from the public? And we got Mr. Passios. Hold on, Dave. You there, Dave?
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Everybody can hear me, I gather. Just a very quick comment to clarify previous speaker's comment about the charter. And then I know you guys need to get going, and Board of Selectmen's meeting starts at 7. There are few changes in the charter. Most of them are gender neutral changes, and a minor change to the cemeteries section, which will in the future be very important to them. The reason I'm pushing it so hard is that the one really substantive change that comes about once this charter gets into place is that the Parks Commission will go from a 3-member commission to a 5-member commission. And we've got a lot planned for the next 2 to 5 years in master plans and things like that. And we really need that 5-member board to move our plans forward. Thank you.
Hey, Dave, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you're going from a 3-member board to a 5-member board?
That's correct.
Okay, and that will help how? By having more people, more viewpoints?
More viewpoints, more people to do research, and the ability for 2 members of the commission to speak to each other about issues that the commission is working on. With a 3-member board, under open meeting law regulations, you can't communicate because 2 people is a quorum.
Okay.
Mhm.
I always wondered. I was just asking questions. The other
Yep,
question,
that was the driving force behind it.
well, that's a good point. Thank you. And the other question I got is, you heard our conversations about communication. Would you be throwing away our memos if we sent it to you?
No, I think if I had the minutes, especially, I follow the calendar religiously twice a day. So I know what agendas, as long as they get posted on the website, I know what's going on and who's meeting. But as you said previously, trying to do research because agendas, minutes are not available on a timely, in a timely fashion. It would be very helpful to know what you guys decided if I didn't have time to sit through your meeting.
Well, thank you for your comments, Dave, and also congratulations on your win to the Parks Department.
Thank you, and Brett, congratulations and welcome to town government.
See you later. Okay, any board comment? Brett,
No comment.
John,
No comments.
and Carl, I'll lower your hand.
Yeah, in case Mr. Passios was referring to my comments, my comments in the maybe sounded like trivializing the changes to the charter were specifically and only targeted at the changes to the sewer commission part of the charter, which we were discussing. Sort of not anything else. The charter is important in general. The only other thing I'm very disappointed and disheartened. I think we did our customers a disservice by not even having a open discussion on the legal's inputs to the document for the scope of service. The legal gave us some very valuable input, and the commission, at the direction of the chair, chose not to even discuss it. So that's fairly disheartening, and I think a disservice to our customers.
Okay. Anybody, anything else? Okay, our next upcoming schedule is July 28th, 5 p.m. will be the regular meeting, remote participation until further notice. And the meeting after that will be August 11th, 2020, 5 p.m., regular meeting, remote participation. I've been looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Brett,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Carl,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. And John, how you doing at your house? Everything okay? Just meant to ask you that.
Yeah, it's moving slow, but it's moving.
I'll just remember we're here to help you in any way. So, all right, Lauenberg, thank you very much. And guys, have a great night. Barb, talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, everyone.